Good morning. My name is Dr. T. Ayodele Ajayi. I'm a consultant psychiatrist in the UK, and I'm also the CEO of Tripad Care Emotional Wellbeing Hub, as well as Medex Medical Consultancy, an international consultancy that delivers mental health education to corporate organizations and charities. Our world has never been so volatile, unpredictable, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous as it is in the last 4 or 5 years. Since the lockdown, there has been alarming rates of mental health difficulties across the globe, from Lagos to Nairobi to London to Mumbai to Sydney and to Dubai. We know that the mental health difficulties that people are experiencing is becoming a global concern. So more than ever before, our mental health is now something that we need to be intentional about. Just like we are intentional about caring for our physical health, it is now paramount. It is now a sense of urgency in making sure that we take care of our mental health. And I would like to start particularly this morning by commiserating with the financial community in Nigeria and financial community in Africa on the recent loss of a very promising figure in that community. I can imagine the pain that everyone is going through at this time, and I hope that there will be healing and recovery to that entire community. So as we think about our mental health this morning, I think the first thing that is important is to know what mental health is. You see, if a colleague comes into the office and they say, somebody has just had a stroke, we know that's because they've had a bleed in their brain, or maybe because they've had a blood clot in their brain. If they say somebody has had a heart attack, we know it's because there's a blood clot in their heart vessels, and that's why they've had the heart attack. If they say somebody has had a fracture, we know that their bone is broken. That's why they have a fracture. But when we talk about mental health, it becomes like that invisible, actually it's invisible disability or experience that people have. And everybody thinks, what does depression mean? What does anxiety mean? What does mental health actually mean? And in a very simple way, the World Health Organization tells us that mental health is a positive thing. They actually say that mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual is able to fulfill their potential. They are able to cope with the normal stresses of life. They are able to work productively, like you or all our workers. You are able to come to work, either work from home or come to work and contribute in the office. You're able to do the work that is allocated to you. But also importantly, you are able to work, to interact in community. You're able to contribute to your community. And that could be, some people enjoy volunteering. Some people, it's really into community development. But the World Health Organization tells us that it's when you're able to fulfill all those things that you are then in a state of good mental health. And today I want to focus really and encourage you about looking at coping with stress, because part of the things that we look at when we are talking about good mental health is the ability to cope with the normal stresses of life. And that's the one I want to talk to you about. And that's because of the type of sector that you work in. We know that there are certain sectors where there's pressure, financial sector, the health sector. I work in the health sector, and I know the type of pressure that we face. But and that's why it's important for you, as somebody who works in a high pressure sector, to know the symptoms of mental illness first. Because the reason why you need to know it is because so that when you have the first sign, you know what to do about it. And for starters, the first thing to note is that stress is unmitigated stress. When stress is unremitting, when it's chronic, when it rolls from one day to the other, it's one of the recipes for mental difficulties. And I want to say that again because it might be one of the most important things I say on this video, that unmitigated stress, when you are perpetually stressed and you are not able to deal with that stress, you are not able to relieve it, you are not able to recover from it, is one of the reasons why people become mentally unwell, either become depressed or become anxious or develop a phobia or even have a total breakdown in terms of losing touch with reality. And the good thing about mental health and mental well-being is that there are a lot of little things, small steps that we can take in helping our own mental well-being. So 2 points I've made already. One of them, that unmitigated stress can be a trigger to mental problems in a lot of times. The other one is that mental health, part of having good mental health, is being able to cope with stress, and that includes also being able to then work productively and to contribute to community. And I know every one of us here, we want to do the job. We want to show up at work and really deliver. Particularly, I know in the financial sector, the stakes are high, and we want to be able to meet our targets. We want to be able to do all the things that is required of us. And if we are going to be able to do all of those, it's very important that we are in a state of good mental health. So to start with, what are the symptoms of mental problems? You know, I said that if somebody breaks a bone, we know we look at their bone on an X-ray. If there are mental problems, the places to look are the areas of thinking, the areas of emotions, of feelings, and the areas of behavior. And I want to say that again, because I think it's really important that really the areas of thinking, emotion, behavior. So how does that lead to anxious rumination in terms of thinking? Just not being able to wind down at night, for instance, thinking and overthinking, and you can see the clock just ticking by, and it's getting to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you've not been able to wind down. So anxious ruminations can be one of them. Depressive thinking in terms of just feeling hopeless or worthless, feeling that there's no point going on, feeling overwhelmed, feeling that you are not able to cope. All of those are thoughts that could be warnings that they are that one is experiencing mental difficulties. In terms of emotions, feeling low mood all the time, or feeling keyed up and stressed all the time, like you can't relax at all, no matter what's happening, even when things are going well, when you've met all your targets at work, when the manager is pleased with you, and you are pleased with the people that are under you, they are delivering, they are meeting their targets, you still cannot relax. You still feel like you just don't feel comfortable, or you are not able to be at ease. The other one, of course, is depressed mood, when for no apparent reason, there is no problem at home, the children are doing well at school, you are getting on well with your spouse, with your husband or your wife, or you are getting on well with your family members, brothers and sisters. There's no financial worry. Everything's well, but yet you still feel sad. And that type of sadness is unremitting sadness. It's the type of sadness that people wake up in the morning and they don't feel able to face the day. It's almost like, oh, I wish I could sleep the day away. And the alarm rings at 5 a.m. and you just feel, oh God, it's another day, rather than thank God it's another day. So feelings of depression, that those type of feelings, and it's unremitting sadness, and when it persists, people ask me, how long does it become a problem? At what point? When it persists for a 2-week period, then that's a reason to seek help. So I've talked about the thinking, I've talked about behavior, but I've talked about the emotions. The behavior, lack of appetite. It could be increased or decreased appetite. It could also be increased or reduced energy. Reduced energy is very common when somebody there's no reason to be tired. You are just tired. It's not because you've been exhausted during the work day. And the other one is the loss of enjoyment of life. The grandmother who loves her grandchildren to bits, she cannot stand the noise of children around the house again. When you begin to lose pleasure in the things that give you joy, maybe some people enjoy being in a place of worship, maybe they enjoy going to the church or going to the mosque, or just interacting, socializing with friends. When those things become a chore, rather than a point of enjoyment, it might also be a thing to suggest to you that you are having mental problems or mental difficulties. And there are others, not being able to sleep at night, like I've said, poor concentration, not feeling motivated to go out and do things, or even to do the work, all of those things. And then weight loss, undue weight loss. There's no physical reason for it, or even undue weight gain. And it's not just one of these things. It's when there's a combination of them that one begins to get concerned. And of course, at the extreme, suicidal thoughts, or just feeling fed up with life and thinking that one is a burden on one's own relatives and one's own family. When that happens, that's really the extreme. Some people, the other symptoms that people get is panic attacks. It's a sudden wave of anxiety. Somebody just feels like they're going to pass out, or they begin to feel like lightheaded, that they're going to faint. And all of those symptoms are, particularly when there's no physical health problem. So I've talked about what mental health is and what can cause mental problems. Certainly, I've said mitigated stress. There are other things. Some physical problems can cause it. Sometimes as well, some people have inherited genes that make them, it's passed down in generations from one family, from one generation to the other, from parents. But the fact that somebody's sibling or parent had mental problems does not automatically sentence them to mental problems. And that brings me to my next point. How do we manage our mental health in our VUCA world, in our volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world? Because the reality is that the recent global mental state of the world study showed that it's across the globe, everyone is that there's concern about mental difficulties. So what can we do? The things that we can do are, one, we need to manage our trust. So managing our trust involves things like, it's been found that people who have a sense of gratitude, who keep a gratitude journal, or even at the worst of times, when they focus their minds on the things that are going well, no matter how little, that what tends to happen is that they tend to get more reasons to be grateful. It's also been known that faith is good for mental health. Some of us, maybe some people have a Christian faith, maybe some people have Islam, maybe whatever your faith is, faith has been known to be good for mental well-being. And things like even offering forgiveness to others, dealing with anger, all of those things have been known that when they're addressed, that they're actually good for mental wellness, because sometimes it's toxic emotions that have persevered for a long time that can actually trigger mental problems, and that includes even guilt. So that's to do with trust. And people also have a sense of purpose outside of work, outside of the things that we do. What's your purpose? It could be your family, it could be your faith, it could be the environment. What do you care about? All of those things, having something else outside of your work life that takes your attention away from stress can also be is also known to be a positive thing. So I've talked about managing trust. The other one is managing thought and thinking. You see, they say that it's not what happens to you that can cause mental problems or tip you over. It's the interpretation that you give to that event. So two people have the same event, maybe two people get the sack, or two people don't meet their deadlines. One of them sees that as an opportunity to try again and put in more effort next time. Another person says, oh, I'm a goner. This is the end of me. Our life moves in the direction of our major thinking. So also being aware of toxic thinking patterns and nipping them in the bud, and sometimes it means sharing them with other people, can also be an effort towards managing your mental health. The other one I want to talk about as I round up is actually managing your body. A lot of us don't know that our bodies and our minds work together. Mental health, at the bottom line, is brain health. The health of your brain will determine the health of your mind. And there are things that we can do to manage our brain health. Lots of physical things. Diet is one of them first. Eating lots of processed food, a lot of fast food is not good for our brain, and it's not good for our mental health. And some people also live on energy drinks, Coke, and I'm not saying that Coke is a bad thing. I'm just saying that lots of sugary, high sugar, rush drinks might not ultimately be good for you. And also, diet in terms of diet that is mainly based on processed food is not really good for our brain. The other things to look out for is exercise. If there's one thing I want to leave you with today, is exercising your body. Exercising your body. Exercise is it's been shown over and over again to help with stress, to help with depression, to help with anxiety. And the other thing, of course, is sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. Sleep is a superpower. And I want to end on that point that please let's look at our schedule to look at the things that we need to delete, look at the things we need to delegate, look at the things that we need to do ourselves, and look at the things we need to delay so that we can create adequate time for sleep in our lives. And these are very easy things that we can really apply to our life to help our mental well-being. In conclusion, I want to say that if you are on the brink, please do speak to somebody. I plead with you this morning that if you're on the brink and you can identify any of these symptoms that I've talked about, we need you. Each time there is a suicide, it's a disaster. It's a call out to our world that we need to do more and that we need to look out more for each other. Every person who dies by suicide is a disaster to our world. That's somebody whose potential has suddenly gone down the drain when we could have done something about it. So I plead with you this morning, if you feel that you're on the brink, please speak to somebody, speak to your spouse, speak to a manager, speak to a colleague, speak to a doctor, get help, because help is available, and mental problems is not a death sentence. People do recover. People can get well. Talking therapy is available. Medication is available. And I do hope that some of the thoughts that I've shared with you this morning have been of benefit to you. But please do remember that there is no health without mental health, and that there are things that you can do to improve your mental health. And if there are people who want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Dr. T. Ayodele Ajay. And my email address is dr.a@medexmedical.co.uk. Thank you for listening, and I do wish you good mental health. Have a good day. Bye.